and welcome to the Red Leaf Card, your home for Canadian soccer news and views. My name is Jacob, and today we're going to be talking about the preliminary round of the Canadian Championship and Kelowna announcement for Canadian Premier League, ? And is Toronto FC back? So, the preliminary round of the Canadian Championship, starting with Calgary FC versus Vancouver FC. Came to a final score 1-0, and I would say this is actually a good match. This was an actual good match, but Calgary FC came to end the match. Vancouver FC actually did really well, almost for the whole full minutes, but Calgary FC sneaked in to win that match in the 66th minute with Toby Warszewski to take that goal. And actually, one of the coaches for Vancouver FC had a big fuss about the soccer ball. So yeah, when it was a Nike soccer ball, and they didn't go with the actual Canadian Premier League soccer ball, and lots of people, and I think it shouldn't be talked about when you're playing with that ball. I think the soccer ball shouldn't be that important to talk about. It shouldn't. It should be focused on actually winning the game. You could talk about it after the game, but don't get frustrated about some soccer ball. And lots of people were going to say, did the coach not focus on winning the game or something there? But I would say this. I think that was not the case. I think that was not the case at all. I think when you talk about a soccer ball and you're still doing really well for like all the way to the 66th minute, I would say this. No. I think the soccer ball is not really important to talk about. But then later when you're going to talk about it, about the soccer ball, that it's really annoying, that it's not the Canadian Premier League's soccer ball. Look, there's going to be something that is something bothering. And you take the L. You took that L of not winning when you focus on something else. And Calgary moves on. Now they're playing Vancouver Whitecaps. And it's a shocker. I thought Vancouver FC was going to make that upset against Calgary FC, but no. Calgary FC just sneaked in, winning that match. Toronto FC versus Simcoe County Rovers. It's their first time in Canadian Championship history that Toronto FC was versing a League One Canada team. And Simcoe County Rovers, everyone was talking about it, trying to make a history moment with Simcoe County Rovers versing their first time against a Major League Soccer team. And I'm like, yeah, it is a historical moment, but you had a chance to actually make a PK, and the ref just gave you a yellow card for simulation. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of embarrassing. It's kind of embarrassing to do those things when you really want that PK to score a goal moment. But Toronto FC just plows Simcoe County Rovers 5-0. And it's that moment coming into Simcoe County Rovers, huddling in. It's your first moment ever versus a major league soccer team, trying to bring in more competitiveness and hustle in to be more competitive in practice. Yeah, League One Canada teams try to be more hard in practice, and this is a moment there. But Simcoe County Rovers didn't do the job. They didn't do the job because 5-0 Toronto FC. They move on, and they're going to be versing someone else. Atletico Ottawa versus Valor FC. That's a history moment. That's a history moment and a new record making. Atletico Ottawa, Valor FC, 7-0. Ollie Bassett making 2 goals. Alberto Zapater, 2 goals. Del Campo, also 2 goals. With Balou Tabla making 1 goal and an assist. I'm like, what is wrong with Valor FC at this point? I'm like, what is wrong with Valor FC? Why are they not competitive? And everyone is always saying about Atletico Ottawa, well, this is a super team. This is a super team making historical moments. And I'm like, when? But when you're going to show that against Major League Soccer teams? Because the matter of fact is, yes, you are going to, in my opinion, they're going to make the semifinals. But the matter of fact is, you're going to be versing Pacific FC. They are the top 3 teams now. They're the top 3 teams now in the Canadian Premier League. If you're going to be versing Pacific FC, that's something to shock you. That's something to shock you that if you're going to be versing Pacific FC, yes, Pacific FC, Atletico Ottawa, they're the undefeated team. They're the undefeated team in the Canadian Premier League. And yes, you're going to be versing Emil Gazdov. You're going to be versing whoever is playing goalie. Ryan Yesley. Ryan Yesley was at goal. And yeah, it's something to worry about. And look, Pacific FC played 2 goalies. And they starting with Sean Melvin. And then when it was to PKs, they had an extra substitute. And they brought in Emil Gazdov. Really great. Really great to do it. And going to Pacific FC versus TSS Rovers. Final score was 1 apiece. And they went to penalties. Final score was 5-4. Bringing in Emil Gazdov was an actual good thing. And you have Rion Moore, who did a great tie game. People were kind of shocked that it actually didn't end, because the matter of fact is it was to 6 added minutes in the game. People were kind of questioning that, did the referee forget that it was 6 added minutes? I was kind of questioning about that match, because TSS Rovers were the ones taking the lead, with Hennessy scoring in the 75th minute. A great goal that Hennessy did to have the first goal in the match. But Rion Moore clutches it to tie the game to go to penalty kicks. And hats off to the coach for Pacific FC to have that extra substitute for Emil Gazdov. That was a great play to go for PKs. And Emil Gazdov, yeah, he is one of the best goalies to do the PKs to save. So, but still, Pacific FC's first two attempts didn't do really well because they were saved. But the other attempts, they still won. Pacific FC did really well to end it there. And Pacific FC deserves the credit of what their strategy was. And TSS Rovers do. They also deserve a lot of credit. But they're still a team that, yeah, they were the substitute for Victoria Highlanders. Yeah. But TSS Rovers, everyone likes TSS Rovers coming into the Canadian Championship again to try to make another upset. I just have to say this, but yeah, this is another historical moment in the Canadian Championship. And another one that is a historical moment is Halifax Wanderers versus CS Saint Laurent. Tied at 2. The Wanderers grounds, one of the best historical moments, I would have to say. Nimick scores for a penalty kick. Amudo Kane scores to tie it at a PK. And Ryan Telfair for Halifax Wanderers at the 83rd minute, but Kwemi in the 65th minute made Saint Laurent to take the lead. But Ryan Telfair makes that tie at 2 apiece to go to penalty kicks. I would have to say this. When it went to penalties, Volevsky had that moment to continue on, but 3-5 was the final score in PKs, and it is an upset. Even there was the time Patrice Geyser, it's like one of those moments looking down in shame. It's the history books. And when it was the press conference, Patrice Geyser refused to be at the press conference. And now Saint Laurent is going to be versing Toronto FC. Another time for TFC saying, are we going to be versing semi-pro teams, and it's going to be easy for us? And that's what it looks. Forge FC now versus York United. 3-1. And I'm like, this was going to be easy for Forge FC. And York United was supposed to be a redemption moment from their regular season match. But Jordan Hamilton scoring 2 goals, David Chouanier, and you have Martinez for York United who's scoring 1 goal, and it was really hard for York United to score a goal. This Forge FC, in my opinion, is a great team in this season for the Canadian Premier League. And Forge FC moves into the next round versus Club de Foot Montreal. And right now, I see Forge FC possibility to making the next round. They're doing really well. As noticed, you have Canadian Premier League teams now improving, that they're really competitive. And now you're looking at Major League Soccer teams still saying, yeah, not that I've remembered, but Vancouver Whitecaps still has that moment that they've lost twice to a Canadian Premier League team, Calgary FC and Pacific FC. Now they do not want to see that moment again, but now you have Calgary FC versus Vancouver Whitecaps, and right now the first leg just started, and you have 2-1 Vancouver Whitecaps winning that first leg against Calgary FC, and you have Club de Foot Montreal versus Forge FC at Tim Hortons Field. One apiece in this match. And how many fans came in? Lots of people were discussing about this one. 14,000 fans. Almost 15,000 fans at that match. And people, some of them were criticizing that it was bringing students to the match from school, and it's an early one. But I would say this: I think that idea, bringing in kids from school, going on a field trip to see a game, is not a bad idea. You could have, if you did that to a Valor game or a York United game, because they need that atmosphere. They need that atmosphere. And the students being that loud at that game, I would say this, that is a great moment at Tim Hortons Field. I think that they should do that more sometimes. Maybe in the Canadian Premier League, in York United. Maybe York United should do that once, and Valor FC. I think if you have a problem at where Valor FC plays, I would say this: do it, because you're going to make a lot of money. And also, even right now in the quarterfinals, who they're playing, what is happening in the quarterfinals. So I mentioned the first leg, Vancouver Whitecaps winning against Calgary FC 2-1, and Forge FC versus Club de Foot Montreal became to a draw at 1. Now you're looking at what's the upcoming matches: Atletico Ottawa versus Pacific FC, and St. Laurent versus Toronto FC. Right now, I've just heard that they just sold 2,000 plus tickets at that match, and that's something great, because as a matter of fact, that Simcoe County Rovers sold I think 5,000, or it was 2,000 between those. But a matter of fact is that Simcoe County Rovers is a great market that they did. And yeah, when you have a big market in the Canadian League One, Canada, there's something there. And Kelowna, now we're going to Kelowna for the Canadian Premier League. They just are making an announcement. They are making an announcement for something. Lots of people were thinking, oh, is this an expansion team being announced? But the matter of fact is, at this time, they've not just made the announcement yet, but now, just few minutes ago, which is kind of a spoiled event. Someone just spoiled the whole announcement. So there was a match in June that they were going to be announcing that there's going to be called Kelowna Apple Bowl at Kelowna. So they're going to have like a neutral match in the Canadian Premier League called the Kelowna Apple Bowl, and it's Vancouver FC versus Calgary FC. And to be honest, that is a good market to promote the Canadian Premier League. And I'm like, you could have done this like maybe for the Canadian Premier League finals, for example, for the playoffs. In my opinion, that it is a good market to promote like a neutral match in other cities that don't have Canadian Premier League, so that the Canadian Premier League could grow to make expansion teams. Like they could do it, for example, in Quebec City for once, and maybe one match in Edmonton. But you're looking at it still saying that's too expensive to do it, or something else. You need management. Like for example, you could make a match in Regina, but you're still saying no. But in my opinion, that Kelowna has the guts to do it, with Vancouver FC being involved. I would say this: that is a good marketing. That is a good marketing because Kelowna, in my opinion, they are bringing in a lot of tourism in BC. And now you're still saying, could Kelowna get an expansion team before Quebec City? And still, Quebec City does not have an expansion team. And I would say this: this is not, in my opinion, an expansion team announcement. It's about having a neutral match in Kelowna. And, well, in my opinion, if there is another expansion team elsewhere, will the commissioner even announce anything else like an expansion team? But we'll wait and see what the commissioner will say in kind of when they do the press conference about the Kelowna match. And coming into downtown Toronto for Major League Soccer, is Toronto FC back? As noticed, Toronto FC has been the complaining about, well, Toronto FC has to do better now, or we just don't like them. We're going to look at something else. And now you're looking at Toronto FC. They're back. They're third in the Eastern Conference final. In the Eastern Conference, they're fifth spot in points. I'm saying this, man. Toronto FC looks like they're actually coming back, because the matter of fact is you have Bernardeschi doing really well now, but still you have injured players. But you're looking at this roster now, how they're doing. I think that they're actually doing well. But they did an announcement. Akinola just got his contract terminated, and now it's just question where A.O. Akinola is going to go. But the matter of fact is, when I see Akinola now a free agent, maybe Canadian Premier League should sign Akinola. But the matter of fact is that you have a lot of teams out there. Maybe Major League Soccer Next Pro could sign Akinola. But the matter of fact is, there's one Canadian Premier League team that needs helping, and that's Valor FC. But going back to Toronto FC, 19 points, and you're 5 points behind of Miami. You're 5 points behind Miami, that are Supporter Shield's leader. Not just that, they're first in the Eastern Conference, which Toronto FC is right now six wins, 4 losses, 1 draw. But they're actually really good at home. So that is one of the key things. When they were playing away, you had 2 wins, 3 losses, and 1 draw. So, a matter of fact, is when Toronto plays at home, looks like they're more better at home, and it looks like that's the key advantage for them. I think Toronto FC, if they play more at home, I think that Toronto FC could actually do well. But a matter of fact, that you have Inter Miami right now. They have 4 wins, 1 lost, 2 draws, and when they play away, 3 wins, 1 lost, 1 draw. So right now you have Real Salt Lake second place, FC Cincinnati third place. You have Minnesota 4th spot, and then you have Toronto FC 5th spot. You're looking at the Whitecaps 7th spot with 18 points. If you look at the Western Conference, for example, where Vancouver Whitecaps is, they're 4th spot. And you're looking at Club de Foot Montreal. Everyone questions about Club de Foot Montreal. 11 spots. That's really bad for Club de Foot Montreal. And now there's been news about Club de Foot Montreal. And right now it's just question how Club de Foot Montreal is going to go. And yeah, maybe something will come up and turn things around for Club de Foot Montreal and see how it goes. But now we have Vancouver Whitecaps and Toronto FC now bouncing back to be in the playoffs seats. But you look at how many games they played, maybe right now you have between 10 to 12 matches that you've played. Maybe right now Toronto FC and the Canadian Major League Soccer teams maybe in the playoff spots from 2016, 2017, and from previous years. And I hope that Toronto FC and Vancouver Whitecaps comes back to the playoffs, and they're really doing well. But you're looking at, when I talk about Toronto FC and Vancouver Whitecaps, in the Canadian Championship, do I see Vancouver Whitecaps and Toronto FC in the finals? Maybe. You might not know, because there might be upsets, because we've seen St. Laurent making an upset for Halifax Wanderers, TSS Rovers making an upset for Pacific FC, and you've seen Canadian Premier League teams also making upsets against Major League Soccer teams. But the matter of fact is, right now, Forge FC versus Club de Foot Montreal, that's something to make it close to looking at an upset. And that's full time of the Red Leaf Card. I'm your host, Jacob, subbing out.